4,
9,
2.
5. The podcast. No more 9 to 5. Season 2, babe.
Ooh, we're
Welcome
back.
I'm
Back
Devin.
in business. And I'm Danny
And
Oliver.
Oh, I had to put a little flex on one time, babe. Put a
Just
little
one
flex
time.
on one time. This is really cool, man. Season 2. I'm super excited to be back. I'm super excited to do some of the new stuff that we got planned.
Yep.
You know?
And chat.
And chat, man. Get back to a good chat, man.
It's a lot to talk about.
A proper chat, man.
It's a lot to talk about in this crazy old world. So,
yeah.
Let's just dig right back into it, I suppose.
Yeah, let's get back to it just like we normally do. I was watching, or actually listening to NPR the other day. And, in the news right now, because so many states, one of the main ones being Texas, it's taking like major stances on like abortion and crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to get your opinion, babe. But what it really got me thinking about is just some of the like traditional shit, how we just do it, right? Or just like really more than anything, and this is coming from a man, why do dudes have a say in it? And so much so that it's such big news. But before we get into it, I just want to ask you, what are your personal views?
On abortion?
Yeah.
I do feel like a woman should be able to decide what she want to do because you don't know how that child was conceived.
Bro.
It could be conceived out of rape. It could be, she could have this child and she could have a disease where being pregnant could end her life, and you don't ever know, or she just may not want a kid right now, and that's okay because that's her choice. Yeah. So, I don't think nobody else should be involved in that decision. It should be the woman and the partner that she created that child with. But more so on the woman because it's her body. She do think she should consult the baby's father, but it should be up to them ultimately, and I don't think the government should have a say in that. I just think they should provide like doctoral care, to do it safely. And so these women won't have to go up in a back alley place and get it, sketchily done because that's what's going to happen.
Right, for sure.
They're going to get it done if they want to get it done. It's unfortunately probably going to be in a sketchy way.
In a real sketchy ass way, bro. Like fucking how they did it back in the 60s. But that's neither here nor there. We both know each other's views. I just want to go on, for the record, just to say a little bit of the stance here over here at No More 9 to 5. Definitely pro-choice. But, like I said, it really got me talking because the guy that was doing the interview, he was a little bit more on our side, pro-choice. And I'm getting all passionate about it and shit. Like, yeah, bro, how could this woman, there was a woman, I can't remember her name, but she was with an organization to support banning abortions in Texas. So she's going, she's super passionate about it and stuff. And she was talking about how, it's not a man's choice, which I was like, whoa, because she's saying that to him, but then pushing choice or whatever like that, or pushing no choice or whatever, that was her stance. So it just really caught me off guard, but it did make me think. I'm getting super passionate about it as if I'll ever have to make that tough decision. That was always my thing. I'm sure it's a super humbling thing to say, hey, I'm not ready for this, or this isn't the right time, or this was... this is going to be looked at a certain way.
Right.
And I'm still willing to go ahead and do it myself. I think that's super tough to make that decision,
Absolutely.
right? And then, again, just the way that people are arguing about it and, debating about it, I was like, bro, this shit is, super toxic, just the way we do that type of shit, you know? And it got me thinking about, the whole toxic masculinity thing, which, I'm going to be real, bro. I'm kind of sometimes I'm kind of that's a reach.
Well, okay, I don't think it's a reach. Yeah. I think... at this point, it's definitely been the word has been oversaturated, and so people are just definitely throwing it around toxic masculinity, But I do think I understand what they're saying, and I do think that it's a real thing. And I'm just gonna grab the definition really quickly, just so we can know exactly what we're talking about. Because a lot of times, especially with social media, we'll see something, see a little bit of information on it and think we're the expert and this is what it is. But let me just read the definition.
Okay.
This is from Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. Toxic masculinity is thus defined by adherence to traditional male gender roles that consequently stigmatize and limit the emotions boys and men may comfortably express while elevating other emotions such as anger. So basically what I take from it is taking society's stance on what boys and emotions can feel emotionally outside of anger.
That's
if
what
I
it
had
sounds like.
To, put it all in a little jar.
It sounds like, making it seem okay for boys or men to be angry and not okay to be like sad or like overly happy or some shit.
I agree with that. I think that's a solid term that's real.
But I think it gets used in a divisive way, which then it just contradicts itself. You're going to make me upset, and then you're going to say I'm being toxic because I'm getting upset. Well, no, you're calling me something that I don't feel like I am.
So if I was like, you are displaying characteristics of toxic masculinity.
But that's your opinion. And before we go forward, because the definition said, guys, like, it seems like somebody else said that, like, guys don't know that it's okay to be upset. I guess traditionally and, like, societally, it has been that way, but it's not like the modern man, in my opinion, doesn't know that he can be sad about some shit, and not just angry all the time.
I think they know. I think men know that they can be sad because we're human beings, so we know that we have these emotions. I feel like where the phrase definition come in is whether they display it or like feel it or act on it. Like if something happened to you, you like, I can't cry. I can't cry. Like, I'm a man. That's toxic. Yes, you need to cry if you're sad. Or like if you're sad, like you need to get it out. I don't think you should be like, I gotta hold this in because I'm a man. Like that's toxic.
But hear me out though. All right. Same thing what you said, and I totally feel you. But now I've spilled some milk. You woke up in the morning, I'm in the kitchen crying because I spilled some milk.
Well, it's something deeper going on. I don't think it's just over the milk, though.
But if it is, though, what if I'm so very distraught about spilling this milk?
Yeah.
And I become that guy who's like, oh, the fucking leaves are changing colors, and I cried about that shit.
Okay, well, that would be a lot for a woman, too. If I had a friend who was like, oh my God, the leaves are changing colors, and I'm crying about it, I'd be like, you all right, sis? Like, that's just to me, I'm not a psychologist yet. But, I feel like...
Hold on, time out. We ain't gonna let that slide. They getting that education way up. Is doing a great job. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
And, more to talk about all types of great education things and then sociological things and, like, psychological things. I can't wait. But anyway.
And while we're on this break, I keep adjusting my dress because I feel like my boobs look great. And if you're just listening on the podcast, make sure you check out YouTube so you can see them because I have A cups, so it means a lot to me when I have a little cleavage. Just a little side note. Okay, anyway.
We all got our thing, bro.
Yeah,
I love them titties.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you so much. All right.
I wanted to zoom in on my face. Anyway, but yeah, man, I feel like, so don't get me wrong. I guess my only gripe with the whole toxic masculinity thing again is because it's just been used so much like a weapon. Like as soon as you start to express yourself naturally in the way that it feels, and it's not exactly what that person, not just women by any means, because some weird ass fucking dudes started shit around too. But when it's not exactly what they want to hear, they want to, that's just toxic masculinity. You're just like doing this and that. When I'm like, no, bro, this is how I really feel right now, But then if I were to really start like being super emotional, or not even super emotional, but I think we can both agree that women are more of emotional creatures. And if at the same level I start being that level of emotional, it'll be a super turnoff to any woman. I feel, not any woman, but like 9 out of 10 for sure.
Okay, that may be true, but like, why does it have to be like this or that? No emotions or overly feeling your emotions. I think we just trying, not even we, because I don't want to throw myself in a group, but I think people are just trying to see, like, get men to understand it's okay to just feel emotions. Not like, give me a box of tissue because my shoe is unlaced. You know, like it don't have to be that far in the spectrum, but just to understand. You know, some people like experience death and don't even shed a tear because they feel like they can't, or not even that far, but like maybe going through a hard time financially, that shit get tough. You might want to shed a tear, but you can't because you feel like I'm not supposed to because I'm a man, or I'm not supposed to gush over a girl because I'm a man. You know, but if you like, you know, I do think it's a lot. And this is where it comes from, I guess, like, when it comes to dating and women and stuff. Because, like you said, 9 out of 10, like, women don't want, like, an overly emotional male because it is a turn off. But you do hear a lot of women saying, open up to me, please, just open up to me. So it's like, don't be so closed off, but don't be so, like, you know, we on our period together, like, you know. But also don't be so close up, because you do hear a lot of women say, just open, if he would just open up to me, if he would just tell me how he feel, then maybe we can, you know, women a lot of times want to help. Maybe I can help, maybe, you know.
But I feel like a lot of women don't know what's on the other side of that door to be so ready for it to swing the fuck open, you know. Like, don't get me wrong, I think we all deal with trauma, and I think it has become a little bit more okay for a guy to bottle his trauma up, because that shit can be pretty traumatic. Not to say that women's trauma isn't by any means, but like, it can be a little weird. Shout out to the dogs real quick. They're really itching for attention.
And they need to go away.
Yeah, they need to go away. But whatever. But yeah, I do think it's been made okay for a guy to bottle it up a little bit more. But at the same time, I do think societally, one is for a reason. Not that, and to your point, like you were saying, it should be a little bit more okay to feel a spectrum of emotions, and I think that's where we're going.
Right.
And so, in that regard, yeah, toxic masculinity exists, because to have one thing that you're trying to work away from, you got to have that base model. But I do want to ask you, is toxic femininity a thing?
Okay, before I answer this question, I do want to just bring out a point. You know how, like, sometimes when, like, you make me mad or something, and you say, I hate when you act like a dude. I ain't gonna say the word that you say, but I hate
a plethora of listeners.
I hate when you act like that, because sometimes when he makes me upset, he be like, "What's wrong with you? I'm good. I'm fine." Like, you know, I kind of shut him down, and you know, you're always saying, like, don't do that, and that's kind of the same way how a lot of women feel, because a dude will just.
And I agree with that.
And it's like, come on, man.
But sometimes it's not as big a deal, too. So I think that comes from, because, I think that's where all that shit kind of stems from. Fair enough. But I do think a lot of times it's like, you know all the time, like, I'm a grumpy guy. Like, I'm always just kind of upset about something.
Well, why?
Because it's just in me. Things piss me off from day to day. Like, everything.
Piss me off, too.
Right. Fair enough. But hear me out. So shit makes me grumpy, period. Shit doesn't make you as grumpy as often. So, like,
you don't know that. I just know how to, like, and that's something that women know how to do. And maybe it's called masking, and maybe that's not healthy.
Yeah, you calling it masking, but you just said, why? Like, you would ask me a bunch of times, what's wrong? Maybe I'm just fucking masking.
But see, you probably wouldn't know. I obviously know something wrong with you for me to ask you what's wrong.
Right.
I notice a change. I notice a difference. So you're not, like, it could be some shit that's wrong with me, and you'd be like, hey, you had a good day? And I'm like, yeah, everything was good. But like I said, it's not okay. But I know how to, like
I don't wanna burst your bubble here.
I know how to mash it down to where it's like, you know.
You know how to mash it down.
I definitely know how to mash it down.
I don't want to burst your bubble.
It's like, it's not healthy, and I'm not like tooting my own horn for like knocking down my feelings, but it's like we both can be grumpy. You just wear it on your sleeve more.
Okay, but it's, again, if I, get a chance to, just wrap up my point.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Please continue. Go
ahead. I do feel like, I'm doing the same thing. It just doesn't look the same way that you are. You do it, but like, I might just be self-regulating. Like, I just need a little time to cool down, because spilling milk isn't really that big a deal. But if you keep asking, well, what's wrong? We got to talk through this milk spill? I'm just aggravated about it. You know?
I mean, and that I shouldn't, or, you know, injuring women with nobody, anybody should, like, what's wrong?
Right.
But if somebody's asked you that many times, I think you can see that that person is concerned and they know that you're not being yourself and they just want to know what's wrong so they can try to help make you be regular again. And maybe that's selfish to a point. It's like, I don't want to deal with you like this. Let's fix it so we can be happy again. So,
do you think that trait right there, just really wanting to fix it so it could be okay again? Do you think that would constitute toxic femininity? Does the pendulum swing both ways? Because as a woman, you feel like you have to nurture and figure it out to the point where you will bug me about it.
So I don't think, because
let's not switch to these
the definition, we flipped it to, if I read the same definition of toxic masculinity and flipped it with female, it would say toxic femininity is thus defined by adherence to traditional female gender roles that consequently stigmatize and limit the emotions girls and women may comfortably express while elevating other emotions. I don't think that would apply to us because...
Let me apply it real quick.
Well, let me finish what I gotta say. Because, like I said, I think toxic masculinity comes with society's notions and standards of boys aren't supposed to cry, boys ain't supposed to do this. But as women, I don't think we have... Well, I can't say that because I'm going to go into race now. I was about to say, as women, we don't have any emotional stereotypes put on us to it. But then I'll take that back because as a black woman, you know, not even just as a woman, as a black woman, if we display anger, say in a job setting, then now we're cast as this angry black woman. Or not even in a job setting, because men... You know, when they decide to make the switch to a different race, well, I didn't want to deal with a black woman because she always got an attitude. So, I guess, but I think it's just men misunderstanding women and not understanding why they're getting upset or why they may have an attitude, because 9 times out of 10, it came from something that they did.
I'm the cause of all your problems, apparently.
I'm not saying all the problems, but I'm just saying, I don't think it can be toxic femininity.
Well, so just based off the definition, it's adhering to traditional or societal gender roles.
Right.
So one could say a perfect example of that is it's a woman's job to like fix her man a plate. Now, you know, you and I don't really trip about that. It's not a big deal. No. Like, if I'm closer to it, I'll do it.
Because that's...
But silly. Older people have tried to make you feel a way about it. And so, again... Toxic femininity, like you have to cater to this man. Okay. You have to be this nurturer when you really may not care at all. That's not a big deal for me. I think it works both ways. Yeah. And to understand like toxic masculinity, I think you gotta see that it works both ways, and so it doesn't seem so divisive all the time and like poke. Because I think traditionally you said it's not so many emotional things that women are. I would say all of y'all stereotypes is emotional. Like, women are too emotional. Women can't control their emotions, which you and I both know isn't the case. But I think that gets thrown in a woman's face so quick. To the point where, like, Hillary Clinton dead-ass ran for presidency twice. And they just keep saying, well, what happens when she's on her period? Like, people are saying that shit, bro.
Fucking insane.
That's crazy.
Because even with a woman on her period can think a little bit more clearly than a fucking almost 80-year-old fucking old white man. And I'm sorry, I love all people, but and like I'm not ageist or racist or nothing. But and not saying you can't have a sharp mind. Not saying you can't have a sharp mind when you're older, but it's kind of like I don't want him running the country.
Fair enough. And having a senior moment.
Yeah. And, not ages.
Because dead ass like so. Again, I was just fucking listening to NPR or whatever, and this guy was talking about how, like, it's okay for them to say that on TV that she probably isn't the best candidate because she'll have a period, like some natural shit. But then that same guy was holding a seminar and was like, is it okay if I said you're going to have a senior moment right now? Right. And the guy got so offended. He was like a high-ranking dude. Shut the whole seminar down because he was like, how dare you and shit like that. But, like, he just couldn't see that. He was like, you're proving my point right now. You can't see that. I think, again, and in this same regard, it's so easy to say that a man isn't being like a modern man in the way that a man could be. But it's like, well, you haven't looked the other way, and nobody else is looking the other way simply because it's always been so much critique of everything that women have done or are doing, you know?
Yeah.
So, excuse me, I don't think it's okay for it to be just one way, but I do think, to your point, the conversation needs to be had. I really do want my son to be okay
to
with
feel
like
his emotions.
Yeah, and cry and shit.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely don't want him just fucking, you know, bitching up about
Baby,
everything.
but I don't want my little girl to be a crybaby
Fair
either.
enough. Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I don't think it's about like men or women. I feel like you should feel how you feel. Sometimes you may feel them harder, your emotions harder depending on what's going on.
Right.
But you shouldn't dictate on whether you want to, like, say, like, can you talk to a homeboy and be like, man, I'm just having a sad day today? Or is that weird?
You talking about me personally?
Yeah, like, if you, like, because homegirl, I'd be like, I don't fucking call my sister or my best friend or whoever, my cousin, and cry on the phone and just be like, I just can't do this shit. And I'm like, whatever it is, you know, and cry. But I'm not saying ask you to do that, but, like, could you call your best friend, your brother, your cousin, whoever, and be like, bruh, you know, just talk on some like an emotional level, or is that like too weird? Where it's like,
no,
I ain't doing that.
I think definitely it's levels to this shit. Yeah. So if we just did some business together and like we hit it off, don't call me with that shit. But like again, like you said, a brother or like a best friend, like the homie. Mm-hmm. I think I definitely would, and I think a lot of my friends would be okay with just at least giving that person the space to get it off their chest. But again, that's why I'd be like, chill out with that toxic masculinity shit, because we out here crying on the phone and shit, not all the time, but it's like, damn, bro, I just lost my job, I don't know what to do. And I'm going to hear you out, I'm going to be like, damn, I might say some real cliche ass shit, like, let's grab a beer and not fucking talk on the phone about this shit.
And that's fine.
But it's progress, you know?
I think I just, like, feel bad for, I don't even want to say it, but it's been times where I've heard men talking to be like, I feel like, I don't know, we ain't even like popping. I'm like, will I get canceled for saying this? But it's like they'll express emotion, like, hey, bro, don't be on that gay shit. You know what I mean?
True.
And
it was a whole campaign. I think you can say that because you remember, like,
I love everybody.
Early 2000s, they had Wanda Sykes on TV, like, do you say gay? Do you know what you say?
Right.
But that's the progress that we've seen, like, because shit like that. Yeah. Now it's a little okay, and it was a time to be real, like. It would be some real ass shit, like I lost my mom, and then you just have a breakdown moment from holding it in too long, and then you start crying, and people are like, damn, bro, you gay, like, why you crying? But like, shit like that, those small changes have made it to where we can have an open forum right now.
And that is true, and it's beautiful because, I have seen stuff, shout out to Issa Rae, and The Sweet Life, that's the name of the show. She has a reality show now on HBO Max or HBO called Sweet Life. Yeah, it's really good. Following some young black people in LA or whatever.
Yeah, real Baldwin Hill vibes. It's worth a watch.
Definitely Baldwin Hill vibes. But they, had a conversation. They were just talking about a bunch of black men talking about mental health. Yeah. And anxiety and different things like that. So to even get to that level from back in the day where it's like, bro, don't be on that gay shit, to now we're talking about mental health. It is a step, but it's like, okay. So I think people understand it now. Me understand mental health, understand the sadness of like somebody passing or obvious things. But what about when it comes to like a female? Is that was still like, then you being a bitch if it's like, man, my girl, we having some problems and I just don't really know what to do about it, and like I really love her. Like, would your homie be like, what's that being a bitch?
There's levels to it again. You and I, people know the dynamic of our relationship. So it's like, damn, bro. But say if it was a girlfriend and I'm dating her for like 3 months, and I was really into it, but then she like, hey, I don't really like this shit, and I'm super like I'm sad as hell. I'll probably deal with that shit real private.
But it's okay, like your girl broke up with you. You can't go to your homeboy and be like, man, Suzanne fucking. No. She broke up with me. I'm a little bit.
This how it's gonna happen. Who is Suzanne? Like, Suzanne, who the fuck is this? And you'll be like, you remember that girl with the fucking Chili's wig and shit? No, I don't actually, because that shit was stupid. And that's the levels. Like, don't call me about no weird ass shit.
So, death, mental health, what, but big girls, females?
it's levels, you know. You can't just be super soft. Or if you are, I'm gonna have some follow-up questions. And again, it's levels to it. You my best friend, you my brother, and you calling me about this. This is out of the ordinary. All right, we'll talk about it. But if I get to the bottom and I'm like, bro, you crying over this girl you met 3 months ago, bro?
So would that fall into toxic masculinity?
It's progression.
Because he's trying to explain
fair
his
enough.
Heartbroken feelings to
Fair
you.
enough.
And you're like, it's not even that important.
It's progression.
Well, he maybe wanted to marry her. You don't know that. Like,
yeah. And I guess, the conversation needs to be had, but you know, progression. We ain't at the end of the road.
Yeah.
Who knows what's at the end of the road? This might be a bunch of dudes getting together like poker night, but just to cry a little bit, just to get it off our chest, you know?
Yeah.
I said chest. Shout out to grammar.
It's been a long time since I graduated school. I think it's okay now. Okay, well, I think long as you acknowledge that toxic masculinity is real.
Yeah, I don't like how it can be a little divisive. I think it's more to the conversation that needs to be had. But y'all definitely weigh in, you know what I'm saying? IG, no more 9.5. We love to hear from you. And of course, we're all over Apple Podcasts. And check it out now. What is this? The YouTube. It's things are growing every day. It's super exciting. We got a lot of different projects on the side. Shout out to a couple. I'm not even gonna say potential. So a couple of sponsors.
Okay,
you know?
Speaking into existence.
There we go. Shout out to a couple of conversations being had. But
who's the sponsors?
Shout out to Primo Exotic.
Well, you didn't say it.
Well, I wasn't ready just yet.
Sorry.
Maybe
Okay.
I was picking up the grease. You know
We're keeping it under wraps right now.
You know, stay tuned. But, you know, of course, you can always find us at no more 9.5 on IG. It's going to be the same on YouTube. And on Apple Podcasts, it's no more 9-5, a hyphen if you're Sadiddy. And thanks for coming back with us. Season 2 is